Action.
So I guess we're official now, right?
Yep.
All right. So I am going to open officially the EAC meeting for May 9th, 2024. And the first item on the agenda is review approval of the April 11th, 2024 meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at them and any issues?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Look
All
good.
right, then I will make a motion that we approve the April 11th, 2024 meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the ayes have it. Now, the second item on the agenda is the 2024 Long Range Master Tree Plan. And I have been meeting with Jim Majewski on this, and he was supposed to have something for me Wednesday. That didn't work, but then Thursday, and that didn't work. But tomorrow, I know we're close to it. And what the plan is, as soon as he gives me a hard copy, I'm going to digest it. And then what I do is I do an analysis, and I add up firstly the number of trees in the plan, because we've been constantly telling him that, we want 1,000 trees. Now, that's not an arbitrary number. I think certainly from a public relations viewpoint, it's very, very important. And, I've been talking to other municipalities, and, they're very, interested in our plan. Now, 900 is a lot of trees, but 1,000 somehow rings a different bell. So I want to make sure that we have that in the plan. The other thing, as soon as I get the plan, I will do some statistical analysis and list the number of trees, shrubs, perennials by area. And then I will also list the number of trees by species. Now, the last time I did that, Jim took that and incorporated it into, the plan. Now, the other thing is too, Jim has told me that most of our recommendations that we made, and, everybody chimed in on this, were incorporated in the close to final plan, if you will. So we'll see what happens. Now, there's an additional little wrinkle, which I think is very positive. What Jim told me, as far as basin plantings are concerned for trees, Derek thought Derek Fuller is the maintenance head in LMT. He thought it's an excellent idea, but before he puts them in specific basins, he wants to talk to our engineering group and get their input. So my idea was that instead of basically removing all the trees, we're going to have a tree reserve. Now, the tree reserve will not only encompass basin trees, but other trees that, as we move along with the plan, that we might want to put in other areas. Now, when we did the 2016 plan, what actually happened is that lasted about 6 or 7 years. And several times during that, we deviated from the exact plan. Now, that's no issue, but then when that happens, we have to go to the board for their approval, and it's one more step. So if we have a reserve, let's say we have 200 basin trees in reserve and 200 other trees in reserve with locations to be determined down the road, we don't have to go to the board. And it's not like we're hiding anything, because every time we come up with a planting regimen, we run it by the Board of Supervisors. So anyway, what we're going to do, as soon as I said, Jim has the plan, I will sit down with him, and anybody else who would like to attend certainly can attend.
So,
and we're going to go over it step by step and then send it out to everybody in the EAC.
So the holdup right now is Derek Fuller meeting with who? The engineers? Who are the
Now,
engineers?
that's not a holdup. The holdup is Jim dealing with Tom Komita to officially put the changes into the plan. Derek and Monica have already reviewed the plan,
Okay.
and they're
all right.
okay. They made some minor changes, but again, the reserve that this was my idea when I talked to Jim about it. And then when he talked to Derek about it, Derek said, wow, that's a good idea because we can put all these basin trees in reserve and then at a later date determine what the exact location is going to be because they don't know that right now. So I think we're moving forward. The other thing is, what I'm concerned with now, firstly, we're not going to have a spring planting. I'm a little disappointed in that, but I pretty much knew that was coming. The other thing is that we will probably give our official approval to this plan in the June meeting. But when you're starting to talk June, then you can be pressed a little for a fall planting. So what Jim is going to be doing is, as soon as he gets the plan from Komita, he's going to sit down with Dan McClune and myself and anybody else who would want to attend. And we're going to look at the items that are pretty solid. Like, for instance, the golf course, there's, I think, 49 trees. And that there's not going to be any deviation from that plan. And on a premature basis, we're going to come up with a fall planting schedule. And then when the official, and starting to do all the legwork, find out who has the trees available and all that kind of stuff. And then when the plan is official, all that legwork will have been done. So we should have plenty of time for a fall planting then. So
I hope so. All right. So maybe in a week we'll get it.
Well,
you never know.
Look, I've been nicely persistent, okay? But I'm like a nice dog on a bone, okay? I'm not letting it go. And, Jim is basically apologetic because, but, in the real world, he has other things he's doing too. But anyway, I am fairly confident. I'm like 90% sure I will have something next week. And as soon as I get it, I'll let everybody know.
All right. Great.
So a little long-winded, but a lot going on there. Now, the next one is recycling our styrofoam plus collection event on April 20th. Alan, you want to discuss that?
Sure. Yeah, it went well. We had maybe 60% of what we collected in the January event, but that's expected because January has all the Christmas stuff. But we had plenty of volunteers. I think we had 8 volunteers, 5 from the EAC, a couple from Lions Club, and Steve Myers. So it went smoothly, and yeah, happy about it. And we're planning on another one, maybe mid-September or like November 2nd. I don't know, sometime in the fall. We got plenty of time to think about it, but yeah, it's good. And I found out Ray Bob, who we take all the styrofoam to, not only reuses the styrofoam for repackaging, to use it, just reuse it again as styrofoam, but they also make the wood molding and picture frames out of the styrofoam, like Princeton Molding did. So it goes to a lot of uses. They handed me this little pamphlet about it, so that's good to know. So thumbs up, and we'll wait till fall.
Yeah, just a short comment. I think this one went more smoothly than any other one we had. Not that the others didn't really go all that smoothly, but we had 8 volunteers, and we didn't have quite as much material as we collected in January, but it was a real smooth operation. Nothing was ever backed up. So again, the key is having enough volunteers.
Yeah,
So it was
that's for sure.
real first class event.
Yep, happy about it. It's almost fun.
Like whitewashing the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I picked up the word almost, but anyway, it was to me it was
Fun.
actually it was almost a fun experience because
Yeah.
the weather was pretty decent and we had enough people there. So
Yeah.
anyway, so you're going to come up with a date for the fall, Alan?
Yeah. Probably by July.
Okay.
Plenty of time to advertise it.
Alan, I have a
Sure.
question, just a side question. You said they remake styrofoam with the styrofoam?
They apparently they take the styrofoam, they either reuse it for packaging and send it out, or they take it and compress it
Okay.
under intense pressure and make wood trim. It looks like wood, but
Right.
it's actually styrofoam, or picture frames out of it. That's apparently being done a lot now.
Okay.
So that's great.
That makes sense. But the other to reuse in packaging, I mean, I thought styrofoam was going to be banned eventually, wasn't it?
Hopefully, but yeah,
Well,
when that
Alan,
happens is the question.
Alan,
Yeah.
I'm just hearing that. I mean, I didn't realize you're saying that a big slab of styrofoam will go to them and it'll be used as a big slab of styrofoam in a
To
package.
send it out. Well, that way they don't have to use new styrofoam. They don't have to make additional styrofoam. Reuse.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they also do these other things with it.
Yeah.
So,
I never knew that.
okay. Well, you learn something every day.
Yeah. Thanks for asking, Dominique.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the Birdtown EAC Falconry exhibition at Memorial Park. So, Gene and myself will comment on that. Gene, you want to
No,
make a couple of comments?
No.
Okay.
Well, obviously, I'm sure everybody has heard that it was quite a success. A lot of excitement over those birds. And yeah, and it was a beautiful, the park was in great shape and looked beautiful, and there are no problems with the birds going after people's dogs, and so it was a really a great event.
It was.
All right.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add just a couple of things to it. I talked to, Dave a couple of days afterwards, the township manager, and, he said that he was getting several calls and emails from people who weren't able to attend, and they wanted to know if they were going to hold this event again. So what we have done, we need approval tonight to move forward on that. We have set up another event in the fall with Gregory and his Falcons for October 5th, 2024. I've already talked to Monica Tierney from Parks and Recs, and that date works good for her. Gregory had very, very few dates because he said that's prime time of year for him, for giving the exhibitions. But I just want to make sure everybody is okay with that 10/5/24 date, and it will cost us another $600. I also ran that by Dave Kratzer as well, because the way the LMT Birdtown resolution is written is that certainly we're going to be holding the EDC, many joint ventures with Birdtown over the years. But when a joint venture is held, the board, or really Dave, has to give their approval for the money being spent. And he emailed me back. He has no issues with that at all. So, again, real good event. And if anybody, wants pictures from the event, I might have sent some out, but if I haven't, and anybody wants some, just email me and I'll send them out. So, I just want to make sure, is everybody okay with the 10/5/24 date?
Yep,
Okay. all
sure.
right. So as long as there's no problems, we will firm it up. We scheduled it on a tentative basis with Gregory, but I told him that we can't confirm until after the meeting. So I'll give him a call tomorrow and we'll be all set as far as that's concerned. All right.
Yeah, Laura sent us a picture of former EAC member.
Yeah.
Of the event?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Laura Grant actually, and we also, Gene sent an article plus photos to the Bucks County Herald. And it looks like they're going to probably print it, but they have an e-edition of the newspaper, which is basically an online edition. And Laura Brandt actually sent that to us. So they used some of the information that Gene sent them for their e-edition of the newspaper. And Laura picked that up because I guess she's a subscriber and sent us the information. So I don't know if any of you are e-subscribers. It's something Gene and I are going to look into because I think it's pretty inexpensive. And that's the paper that, Gene enjoys reading anymore. I think it's a weekly, but they're pretty comprehensive coverage of just about everything going on in Lower Makefield Township, or rather Bucks County. So,
Yep.
All right, the next one.
Let me just ask Kevin. Kevin,
Yes,
did Natalia like the birds? Did she have fun?
she didn't attend.
Oh, she did.
She didn't want to go.
Oh.
Well, she'll have an opportunity in October.
Yeah,
So that's October 25th. Is that what you said?
no, fifth.
No, 5th.
Fifth,
October
oh, okay.
5th.
That
And
makes
we'll
more
have,
sense.
plenty of publicity for that. So, the next thing on the agenda is the Park and Rec recycling recommendations. Kevin, attended an event there and came up with some recommendations. And Alan, there were quite a few recommendations, and Alan did a little analysis and cut the list down. And what I think we should basically do on this, now Kevin made these observations as a resident, not so much as an EAC member. And what Monica is looking for is something official from the EAC. So my suggestion, unless anybody has something they would like to, put forth, is that Alan came up with about about 5 or 6 recommendations for the several that you put in. So maybe, Kevin, you can incorporate that, come up with a plan, or rather a letter to Parks and Rec with maybe 4 or 5 of the top items in it, and send it out to the EAC maybe a week or 2 before our next meeting so we can digest it and then, approve it at the next meeting and, release it. Does that work for you, Kevin?
Yes, that works.
Okay. All right. And anybody else have any comments as far as that's concerned?
Nope.
Go ahead.
No comments.
All right,
Okay.
Kevin, you have, I believe, the analysis that Alan did. If you don't, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, if you could send it to me, that'd be great. Just make sure I
Okay.
have it.
Let me just make a note of that.
I've also been in touch with an organization, where it is, Pennsylvania Resources Council, who has helped other organizations plan zero waste events. So I'm trying to get some feedback from them about what's kind of low hanging fruit and easy to accomplish.
Oh,
Yeah, all right, that certainly sounds like a good idea.
how long has that been around? I've never heard of that. What's it called?
Pennsylvania Resources Council.
Uh-huh. Huh. That
Yeah,
sounds good.
I just did an internet search for zero waste events and they popped up. And it seems like they've done quite a bit.
Oh, that sounds good.
All right, yeah, well, that's that's excellent, Kevin. What I'm finding out too, that when you look around, there's a lot of good stuff out there. You just got to know where it is. And I found that out when I was working on the native plant ordinance years ago. I thought it was such a novel idea. And then when you start looking around, you find out that, hey, this isn't totally innovative, but there's a lot of stuff you can pick up out there. Okay. Now, the next item on the agenda is proposed single-use plastics ban. And Dominique is going to give us a little update.
Right. So I've been in touch with, again, this lady, Elaine McCarron from Newtown, from the ESC Newtown Township. And so she's willing to meet with us, I guess with you, Jim, and myself, and then we'll then decide. She knows a lot about how to get around the board of supervisors and what to do. So it'd be a nice way to start things going. So hopefully.
Excuse me, she's the EAC representative or a BOS representative?
No, she's the ESC representative.
Okay.
The lady who initiated the ordinance in Newtown Township. But she also said that she would contact Elaine Snyder from the BOS to write us a letter to let us know of the progress of Newtown Township, of what accomplishment they've done, which is what a letter that I think you thought would be nice to have for our board of supervisors.
She said she would write a letter, have her, the supervisor, write a letter
Yes, she would ask
to us.
supervisors to write a letter. Yeah. So shall I go ahead and ask her to do that, to ask for a letter?
Yeah, but before you
Yes.
do that, why don't we meet soon? Why don't we meet early next week sometime?
Okay.
Because I think, I think that would be good. Then we understand completely, well, what she actually worked on in order to make this ordinance effective. And, we can then find out what the BOS letter will, will contain, and that's all.
Right.
So,
Okay. So I will email her and then ask her if we can meet as soon as possible.
But
Okay.
it's three of you, you and Elaine and Dominique, or is that what you're saying?
yeah, I guess, but certainly when we have a meeting,
Right.
if anybody else would, want to, come along, that would be fine.
Yeah. So when I get an answer from her, then I email everybody at the ESC. Is that the idea?
Well, when we set something up, just let me know, and then I will let the
Then you'll be
EAC.
fine. Okay. Yeah,
people
fair enough.
know.
And then my other point was, but again, that might depend on what Elaine says, is to set up a meeting or some kind of timetable for Farron Savitt to give us a presentation on plastics. Now, I don't know, do you want to wait till we talk to Elaine because she's done that herself?
Yeah, well, I think the way we should probably proceed is, firstly, we have this meeting.
Okay.
And then I believe you also have some input from Wegmans. And my previous discussion with John Lewis is, he wants, some input from Wegmans and from Newtown as far as how their ordinance has been effective, or if there's issues or what have you. Now, once we have those, and I think that's going to happen relatively soon, then I want to talk to John Lewis and see if we can actually set up a time at an actual BOS meeting where we could maybe have a presentation from Penn Environment and maybe from the people at Newtown. But first, let's have the meeting next week. But I agree with you. If we don't have a timetable on stuff like this, I always like having dates, because otherwise it's my experience that things generally don't get done on time then.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So you can't, so you don't, so there's no answer to like having Farron come in?
Not yet, but that's after we have a review, and then talk to John Lewis and see if we can actually set up a time frame at a BOS meeting. So I think this is, it's not moving along as fast as I would like, but it's moving it along at the appropriate pace as far as the chair of the BOS is concerned. So I'm still hoping that we can have something, done before the end of the year, because this is real important. Unfortunately, now the plastics industry is really pushing back hard with a lot of advertisements about the benefits of plastic, if you will. But it's kind of similar to what the cigarette industry did 30 or 40 years ago, when they were trying to convince everybody that you could smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and it wasn't going to hurt you. So, but people are listening, unfortunately, to some of those comments.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to answer some of those. That's why when we're moving ahead with this, I would like somebody like Penn Environment come to the meeting, because they can answer all the questions.
Yeah.
I know Monica Dominique is learning a lot about this. I'm learning a little, but when you have somebody with expertise talking, I think, I don't want to say they pay more attention, but I think they take the answers maybe more seriously.
Right. And just as a passing, I went yesterday to Makefield in Yardley and talked to one of the managers and said, well, Yardley, Makefield in Newtown has given up all plastic bags. Are you thinking of doing the same? And the woman said, well, no, we haven't really. And she said, but they have an ordinance in Newtown. I said, yes, I know. He said, well, we'll wait for the ordinance to come to Yardley. It was
Wow.
Did you contact ShopRite? Because
no, I haven't.
Steve Myers got you those contacts. Okay,
yes, thank you. Yes, no,
Okay.
not yet. No, I
Oh,
want
he
to.
did?
Yeah, he found out some people.
I want to wait till we are more advanced in our process. Yeah, but thank you very much. Yes, it's in my file, in my folder.
All right.
All right, and thank you, Dominique.
So hold on one second, Dominique. Did you say what happened when you went to Wegmans? What they said?
Well, I think I told you at the last meeting, but that was a while ago.
Oh, okay.
He said that they were very proud of not offering single-use plastic bags, and everybody seemed to be going along very well. I interviewed a lady who was charging a car with paper bags, and I said, do you mind, you had to pay for these paper bags? How do you feel about it? She said, well, I'm fine. I forgot my bags at home, so I had to pay for the paper bags. But she was okay with it. Everybody seems to be fine.
Okay.
Sounds good. And thank you, Dominique, for the work you're doing on this. And hopefully it's going to pay off in spades. The next item on the agenda is an update on land use plans. Alan?
Sure. Like the agenda says, drafting comments on the proposed 47 home development on the 50 acres of the Wright Farm. It's at the intersection of I-295 and Yardley Newtown Road. And as I've said before, there's no natural resource protected land on the site, so that'll limit our comments. I'll probably make one suggesting a different open space parcel. Right now they have them along the interstate and Yardley Newtown Road. It seems like it makes sense to put one where the existing house is. They're going to knock down all those buildings, the barn and maintenance buildings and all that, but there are a lot of big trees there. There's like 3 of them close to 4 feet in diameter. And if they could leave some of those trees and make a small little park there, it seems like it'd be a good idea for the residents, where they put park benches, playground, and a little area there.
Oh, that sounds nice.
I mean, that's, we have this open space ordinance that 20% of the property has to be set aside as open space. I think that would be a good use. Just at least a small area where the existing trees are, because there's no other trees on the 40 or on the 50 acres. So that'll be one comment. I'll have a few on the traffic analysis, because it's inconsistent with what was done with Pickett's Preserve. So just point that out. But in a couple weeks, I'll send out a draft for everybody.
All right, but when you send out the draft, Alan, I think your comments about the trees is excellent. To make maybe a mini park there.
Yeah.
So I think you should certainly include that as well.
Oh, yeah.
So my personal feeling, I don't know how other people feel, but 20% of it has to be allotted to open space. And I would like to see at least a strip of that along Yardley Newtown Road. So when you're actually with a big buffer, because otherwise when you're riding down that road, now what you see is beautiful farmland. I don't want to see the backs of 20 or 30 houses.
Yeah, that's where they have the open space there and along I-295, but they have no landscaping. That'll be another comment. They should plant some things in that open space to provide a buffer for the homes.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
All right, thank you, Alan. The next thing is the EAC lecture and event series. And again, I talk here about a second falconry exhibition. And the other thing I was thinking about, and we'll firm that up tomorrow on October 5th, is trying to look for a good environmental documentary and collaborate with Newtown Theater again. We did that with bird migration early in the year, and it was very successful. And last year, there was a collaboration with Bowman's Hill in Newtown on the hidden life of trees. So what I was also thinking of, to see if Andy Smith might be interested in that documentary that we showed here not too long ago on fungi, the mechanism that changed the world. Personally, I thought it was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It's about an hour long. So I was going to, I have a PowerPoint, send it to, Andy and see what he thinks. I appreciate, any input from the EAC if they have any other topics. I'm also thinking that in the fall, if the EAC would like, many times over the years, I've given a lecture on Lower Makefield Township's unique native plant ordinance. I've given it at Bowman's Hill and also to several municipalities in the area. It's about an hour long. And one of the nice things about it too is there's some beautiful photos of native plants that a friend of mine allowed me to put into the presentation, who is a professional landscape photographer. But, you know, that's just something that we can talk about a little later. I just have to check my schedule and to see if it's something that the EAC thinks would work.
Okay.
And again, I would appreciate if somebody can nose around a little. There's a lot of really good documentaries out there. There's also a lot of good speakers, but Gene was thinking, I was thinking maybe we would have Michael Wheelbach, the gentleman who gave the wonderful lecture on monarch butterflies, but that wasn't super well attended. And the reason is because it was during the summer months. So basically what we've decided to do is that June, July, August, September, pretty much stay away from lectures because people, you know, are busy doing stuff during the summer. And then, you know, stick with maybe the first 4 months of the year and maybe the last 4.
Yeah, good idea.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. The next item on the agenda is Tree City, USA. And during the last meeting, firstly, I want to thank you, Sumya. You did an excellent analytical job in laying out, you know, the parameters for all the municipal tree programs. But after analyzing it, the last meeting, the EAC decided that Tree City was the best choice because that's pretty much the poster child of municipal tree programs. So I'm looking into that a little. I don't know what your schedule is. I'm trying to print out the application, you know, for Tree City, USA, and I'm having some computer problems, but I think I've come up with a new plan that will enable me to do this. Now, I don't know what your schedule is right now, Sumya. Do you want to continue working on that, or do you want me to step in as far as the application process is concerned?
Whatever you suggest. I think the application has to be done by the township, not by us.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. I think there's a lot of things. It essentially should be done by the township, but I think there's a lot of things that we can do to provide some records for them that would make their job a little easier. I don't know the answer to that yet. I know the 4 steps that they want or the 4 standards, and they're not all that rigorous. And basically, we're already there. But for instance, they're looking at a $2 per capita threshold for, you know, purchasing or planting trees.
Commitment.
So that would be about $70,000 in Lower Makefield Township. Currently, we're spending a lot more than that, but it's basically, though, from our tree bank, which is kind of a little different. So that's like a little added twist to it. But I think that's entirely appropriate. But we also, I think, have some money aside from the tree bank that in the past that we've used. So that's what I'm trying to find out now. Now, I think you're right, Sumya, that essentially it's filled out by the township. But what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, because you did the original analytical work on this, is I'll print out the application, see what's exactly involved. I know the 4 basic steps, but behind each step, there's certain documentation that they want. Now, I know the EAC has some of this, but some of it can only come from the township. So I'll know more when I, print out this application. And once I do that, how about if I just send you an email and tell you, what's going on?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on the Tree City USA? By the way, I bike a lot in the morning, and every time I come back out of New Hope, I see that big sign
Nope.
about Tree City USA. And then I guess it was about a month ago, I was biking up in the Frenchtown area. And as soon as I got to the border, big sign, Tree City USA. So it stands out, and I think it's good publicity. And I think it's just one more thing that makes our municipality shine. So again, you really, I looked at the analysis again, Sumya, and that was a lot of work. And, we appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is the model energy ordinance. Now, we're going to discuss comments from Kevin and Township Manager, the meeting he had with the Township Manager. Firstly, before, you get into the act, Kevin, what I think we should be doing here is that you made some notes originally on the model or energy ordinance, and then you also had some notes after the meeting that you had with Dave Kratzer. So what we have to do, we have to respond to the Planning Commission because they're the ones who asked the EAC to take a look at the model or energy ordinance and offer comments. Well, I looked at your analysis, Kevin, and quite frankly, I think it's, really first rate. But I'm wondering, can you put that in the form of an answer to the Planning Commission? In other words, say to them, okay, guys, this is what you requested. This is the EAC comments. Now, everything you need is there. It's just a question of moving some stuff around. The other question I have is, I know you talked to Dave about the model energy ordinance, and you also talked to him about solar. But my question is that in the discussion you had with Dave, is he receptive, because he's the one who actually brought up the solar concept that we discuss it, because he said there's a lot of grants out there and this is a good time to move forward. Is he receptive to doing something in Lower Makefield Township at this time? So anyway, The floor is yours, Kevin.
He was definitely receptive to it. He said that the economics now are different than they were when it was last pursued. He's definitely more interested in doing it on buildings than on open space. So there are certain challenges at different buildings. They have a small installation right now at the main office. They're interested in doing something bigger, but they also have to do a roof project there. So they have to kind of coordinate solar with any type of re-roofing that they need to do.
What about as far as solar is concerned? Is he talking about any time frame, or is he just talking, in general about the desirability of having solar? Is he going to move forward on this, or does he have any time frame or what?
We didn't speak time frame. The only thing that he mentioned was when they previously looked at the community center building, there was a question of whether or not there was enough usable square footage on the roof to make it worthwhile. So that was looked at a few years ago, and it may be a different scenario now. And the only other thing that kind of came up as far as timing was when they might want to do the re-roofing of the main township building, the administrative building.
All right, and he said in order for that to happen, they have some roof work that they have to do.
Yeah, so I didn't talk to him about time frame for that though.
Okay, yeah, the existing system there, we actually, Lower Makefield Township won in a contest about 15 years ago. And this is when Molly Songus was working for and her father was a state senator somewhere, I don't know, for Hawaii or whatever, but she was working for some kind of environmental organization. And they had a contest, and the idea was for each of the townships to sign up as many people as they could for clean energy. And Lower Makefield won the contest literally by leaps and bounds. And that's where we ended up with that system on the roof, which I think at the time cost about $10,000. Now, it's a relatively small system, but you know, you get an idea, I think, of how it works. The other thing that concepts that people are talking about in solar now are creating in the parking lots, basically parking structures with like a ceiling, almost, I forget what you would call them, like carports almost.
Yeah.
And then covering those carports, you know, with solar. So there's, I think, a lot of innovations going on right now. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send off a little email to Dave Kratzer if the group think it's a good idea. Just say, hey, we talked to Kevin. I know you guys had a very, you know, positive talk. What do you think about solar in the future? Do you have any time frame or anything like that? You know, just to ask them, hey, are we going to be doing anything soon, or what the story is?
Yeah, the one other thing we did discuss is that is trying to keep any type of solar away from ball fields, just to reduce the possibility of damage.
Oh, yeah, you mean from, yeah, okay.
Hmm.
So as far as the model energy ordinance, can you have something for us, let's say a week or two before the next meeting? I know you already have the one with the Parks and Rec, but then next meeting we can, you know, after we review it, we can just send it to the Planning Commission.
Sure. Yeah, I can do
Okay.
it. I probably already have it written
And
somewhere.
again, you know, thanks for your work. That was a pretty comprehensive analysis, Kevin. And quite frankly, I learned quite a few things by reading it. So anyway, thank you. Nice job.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Kevin, can I make one more stab at getting wood boilers out of our recommendation? Because, I mean, solar, wind, geothermal, no doubt, those are great. But wood burning boilers, I mean, is it carbon neutral? Is it renewable, sustainable? I mean, you look in the literature, there's a lot of argument about that.
Yeah.
And whether we should have them, I mean, I can't imagine it ever going in our township. People would raise heck about it. But it just seems like we shouldn't be granting them the bonuses in that table. There's a table of bonuses and they get reduced permitting costs and all that. I don't know. I just think it's a bad look. And then the 10-foot stack that they would have, that's essentially ground level. I mean, I've worked in air pollution for almost 40 years, and I can guarantee that's going to be a problem. Even if the nearest home has to be 150 feet away, that just is a recipe for disaster, I think. But final call is yours. I'll leave it up to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree with that. And a lot of the things in there were very, very prescriptive, and I don't think we should be getting to those weeds.
Yeah, we don't need wood burning boilers in the township. There's no need for it.
Yeah, I think that's a good comment,
Yeah.
Alan. So Kevin, unless you feel strongly about it, if you want to leave that out. But again, you know, you're the one who did the analysis. If you think
Yeah.
it's important
It's
to
up to
leave
you,
it in,
Kevin.
that's okay. But
It's just
okay,
my 2 cents.
solar we already discussed. Now the heritage tree ordinance, Alan and I have something, you know, to talk about as far as that's concerned. I received a call maybe about a month ago from a woman who lives in the northern part of the township named Michelle Stambaugh, and she lives in an old fieldstone house. And she said that firstly, she's going to be moving soon and wants to take steps, if possible, to protect a huge hackberry tree that's in front of her house. So anyway, Alan and I took a trip up there, And unfortunately, her health is not great. I think she has MS, but her daughters were there, and they were very accommodating. So we took some pictures of the tree, and we also did a rough set of measurements using a 45-degree triangle. It's easy to get the spread. It's easy to get the circumference. Not so easy to get the height. But what you do, if you have a 45-degree triangle and you hold the bottom level and you put it up to your eye, when you see the top of the tree, and you have to move back and forward until you see the top of the tree. And then hopefully, if you've done a decent job, the distance from where you're standing to the trunk of the tree is the same as the height. Obviously, it's fairly approximate. So the next step, I think, is to, and by the way, with those measurements, I checked on the Big Trees of Pennsylvania, which is a book that they put out about every 4 or 5 years that lists heritage trees all over the state. And this tree, based upon our approximate measurements, looks like it could be the fourth or fifth largest in the state. So the next step is I'm going to be calling Aaron Greenberg, who is the head of Big Trees in Pennsylvania, and to see if he can come out and take a look at that. While he's here, it would also be a good idea to get official measurements for the cucumber magnolia on Patterson Farm. That might be the biggest in the state and might be the largest in the United States. We're not sure. This is, if you haven't seen it, this is one big tree. And Alan, I know, has a list of a couple of other possible heritage trees that when Aaron's out here, we might want to take a look at.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where that stands right now. When I get a hold of Aaron and find out when he can come out here, I'll let Michelle know, and then we'll probably go out and make some official measurements. And if anybody would like to come along, of course, they're all welcome.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, do we have any comments on that?
No.
Okay.
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, well, it actually is fun. Now, we took a photo, or one of her daughters took a photo of Alan and I standing next to the tree, and there's room on either side of us of the tree, trunk. So this is one big tree. I've never seen a hackberry that big, but anyway, and we don't know how old it is, but I think she said the house itself goes back to maybe 1770 or 80. It's a pretty old place, lovely place with 5 acres back in an area called Cardell's Corner. But anyway, that's the story on that. Next item is open space recommendations, and I think we have some positive comments about that. Alan, you wanna discuss?
Well, it was on the agenda on the April 17th supervisor meeting, and Jim and I made a few comments on it, and the board seemed generally receptive to the idea to proceed with it. And I pushed them they have to have a vote to have an ordinance to put it on the ballot. And that ordinance has to be passed by, I guess, August. If they do it by August, late August, it'd be fine. But I was hoping they'd do it on June 5th. They have a meeting June 5th, and I haven't heard back. But hopefully they'll, have the discussion there and vote to advertise the ordinance at that meeting. But we'll see.
Okay.
I was hoping Matt Ross would be on the call, our liaison. Maybe he would have some insight on what they're thinking. But
yeah, and then I could also give John Lewis a call, or Alan, unless you want to give him a call and see if it's going to be on the June 5th
Okay.
agenda. Because they were very positive during the
Yeah.
meeting. I mean, there were, everybody seemed to be on board. They just, questioned all the steps. That's why
Right.
a couple of the documents that we gave them, Alan, I guess it was about sometime in last year in 2023, laid out the specific steps that you have to take through. I would go through in order to create the ordinance that will allow a ballot referendum. And I think the board was, very thankful that they received those because, it's a little complicated. So hopefully we can get this approved on June 5th. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. I'll email John. I'll send him an email. That's
All right,
easier than
that's, I think, a
calling.
good idea. All right, EAC and Township newsletter. I don't know what the next EAC newsletter will be, except, Paul, maybe it might not be an idea, even though it's pretty premature, to tell people, and maybe Gene can write something up on this, about how successful the falconry exhibition was, and by popular demand, we're going to hold another one in the fall. So maybe, hopefully Gene will write up something and send it to you. But, thank you. You sent out a lot of publicity for the event, and that's always helpful. And I don't know if we mentioned before, but I counted over 110 people, and there were a couple still coming. So it was a very successful event.
I agree. We should also do something about the styrofoam recycling, and the wing migration film, as well as the falconry and the upcoming one in October.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and maybe a little. I know you've got a lot on your plate, Alan, but can you write up maybe just a short article on how successful the styrofoam pickup was on the 20th?
Okay, but I thought Gene was going to do that and send it to me, and I was waiting, but.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember that.
Yes, I remember that. So,
All right, I'll do it.
well, yeah, and then I'll take it and embolden it and expand it and
Yeah.
add some flash glitter.
We can do, we'll do, yeah.
Well, is this going to be for the newsletter, or you wanted to send it
Yes.
into the Yardley? Well,
Well,
Gene also
yeah.
wanted to send an article into the Yardley News or something. Or...
I still think that we should have an article about styrofoam because it's so different. Nobody else is doing that.
Yeah.
And it's so successful. So I will write something about that and send it to you. And then it can be in a newsletter or
both.
Or the
both. Why not?
Yeah, Yardley Voice. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they like
Paul,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my only comment though is that it was done April 20th and we're May 9th now, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
Well, no, yeah, we'll summarize our previous ones, not only the April 20th, but the one in January, how much we got. And then we'll say we're going to have another one in the fall, then we'll have another one after next Christmas, just to give people a heads up that they're going to have opportunities in the future.
All right. But we also have a couple of good photos too, from the one in January and from the one that was just recently held on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, Yardley Voice and Yardley News, they love stuff like that. As well as the Bucks County Herald. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I will write something up and send it to you this week, Alan.
Right, and I'll add something on what they do with the styrofoam and that kind of thing.
Yeah, good. Okay.
My goal is to get it out by Father's Day.
What day is that?
Middle of June.
I don't know what it is this year.
Nobody cares.
It's in June.
All right.
Yeah.
That thing seems manageable.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
the next item on the agenda is odds and ends, EAC webpage update. Sumya, do you have any info for us?
No update.
Okay.
Next
And-
time I'm in the township office, yeah, I'll ask Katie about that because she's kind of the gatekeeper and whether we can change things and find out what the status is because they had somebody working on our website for a while.
Yeah.
The township's website, not the EAC website.
Yeah, that's what I was just
Yeah.
gonna say too, because I'm no expert on websites, but I think LMTs need some work.
Yeah.
Okay, open discussion. Anybody want to talk about anything?
Yeah, I have one thing. So the Patterson Farm is no longer an ad hoc committee, but they have their own master plan and redevelopment committee. And happened to run into Suzanne in the library, and she mentioned the EAC should still probably have involvement on that, like a liaison. So I don't know if anyone has interest in that, or if I can just stay on, or it doesn't matter to me.
Well, you've had some experience. I mean, do you have any problems staying on the committee?
No.
All right,
Yeah.
so what's the
I'll vote for
difference now?
Kevin.
Before it was like not a formal committee, now it's going to be a formal committee?
Yeah, well, it was an ad hoc committee, which it was kind of assembled to do a specific task, and they finished that task, which was the master plan, and now they're starting to implement that plan. So it's kind of a separate role.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many people are like on this committee?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like there are 6 official members, and then Dan is the supervisor liaison.
Okay, so but you don't know in the new committee how many people, or do you think most of the people in the ad hoc committee will just, move over to the formal committee?
Oh yeah, it's all people that were involved in the ad hoc. I recognize all the names.
Okay, all right. Just a question. What do you think the possibility is that they're gonna do something there? I mean, every time I look at that house, I mean, it's becoming demolition by neglect. Now, I believe in historic preservation. I don't think everything should be preserved, but that house really has a classic look to it and, a wonderful history, but it's still sitting there. And, we've had all these committees and nothing happens. So do you think something could happen soon?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get if you want me to be on it. There's a meeting tonight at 7:30, so I can hop on that and find out. I know that phase 1 of the master plan was approved and put in the budget. So that was a lot of cosmetic stuff, like low-hanging fruit that they could do to help, stop the bleeding, stop the deterioration. Most of it was like painting and getting rid of lead paint and scraping and painting, restoring things. Wasn't a lot of interior, mostly exterior stuff.
All right, yeah, and I think if you wouldn't mind attending that meeting, I think that's an excellent idea, Kevin.
Okay. All right, I'll stay on for that.
All right, we're still in open discussion. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up?
Just briefly, I don't people saw the announcement, but California, even though it was cloudy, got 85% of the energy from renewable sources last week.
What?
They have the largest. They have the largest amount of battery backup for nighttime electricity in the country.
For their solar and wind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a big breakthrough.
Yeah, great news.
Yeah, I remember years and years ago, well, maybe not that long ago, we were traveling in California and we went over, this was in more desert-like country, and we went over this little rise And all we could see on either side, for it seemed like miles, were windmills. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. Not the most beautiful thing in sight in the world. And if anybody has ever seen one of these things, you know, up close from the distance, they look, oh, isn't that nice? These are monolithic structures that are probably the base is about 12 or 14 foot wide. So these things are absolutely huge. But, you know, when you see a whole field of them like that, it was literally amazing.
Yeah, Kansas has a lot.
All right, well, we gone over just a little, so how about if we close out this meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, I want to thank all of you for your time and, you know, the excellent input that we received tonight. And I hope all of you enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you next month.
Yeah, headed to Woody Creek.